Is that episode 9 of SONGspeare 2020, As You Like It? Or as we might say nowadays, whatever. As You Like It is a very musical play from Shakespeare with at least 5 songs that need to be sung in the text if you don't cut any of them. Act 2 has Under the Greenwood Tree and Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind. Act 4 has the Forester's Round, What Shall We Have That Killed the Deer? And Act 5 has the pretty well-known It Was a Lover and His Lass, and also Hymen's song Wedding is Great Juno's Crown, which is probably the most likely to be cut. As usual, I'll put links to the Ross Duffin Shakespeare's Songbook CD that accompanies his research book down below. In fact, if we're being totally honest, I might have bought it. In fact, this play is notable for having one song that's one of only a few that we are pretty positive Shakespeare used in his time. It's Thomas Morley's setting of It Was a Lover and His Lass. We have music that was published in 1600, which is right around the time that this play would have been done, so it was published after the play premiered. But it goes a little something like, It was a lover and his lass with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny no. It's also very well known, so I didn't record it. Ross Duffin makes arguments for other settings that he included on his CD. One is pretty convincing. There's one that is the Forester's What Shall He Have That Killed the Deer. There's an existing round that is from a source in 1625, which is not too far after, and the play also has language that implies that it was supposed to be sung in a round. That might be pretty convincing. So if you have time or you have the interest, go look at that one especially, because that also might be music that was used in Shakespeare's time. If you're not sure where you've heard Thomas Morley's setting before, if you know the 1970s BBC version of As You Like It, which starred Helen Mirren as Rosalind, it's in that one. They have 2 pages sing it, so it's a little bit like it might have actually been. Boys sopranos, they trade off the lines a little differently than they probably do in Thomas Morley's sheet music, but you know, they could have done something completely different than that in the production anyway. So with 5 songs in the play, it's not surprising that there are a lot of settings of those songs. In fact, I personally know of 63 settings, 55 of which I actually had music for. So I had to narrow down 55 songs to what was going to be 9, and then I managed to cut 2 more out. So the most songs we've ever had in an episode before, but hopefully they're good and you understand why I chose them, and just sort of sit back and relax, and it's maybe a little bit more of a miniature recital length endeavor this time. As usual, I tried to skip anything that is really, really well known, really well recorded, as well as anything that I just think is plain boring or bad. If you're looking for other settings of Shakespeare songs and you're just sort of getting into it and you haven't heard them before, Roger Quilter and Eric Korngold both have settings of, I believe, Under the Greenwood Tree, and It Was a Lover and His Lass, and Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind. So without too much further ado, that's not the play, let's get on to these songs, because it's gonna be a long one. The first 2 songs are by Italian composer Mario Castelnuovo-Tedesco. Castelnuovo-Tedesco lived from 1895 to 1968, and I can't believe that his name just rolls off my tongue at this point. We've heard from him before, and he actually wrote quite a few Shakespeare-inspired works. He wrote at least 33 Shakespeare songs. He wrote something like 30 sonnet settings, which I'm actually going to get pretty soon, so I'll look at those before the sonnets episode, which is coming at me like a truck. He also wrote operatic versions of The Merchant of Venice and All's Well That Ends Well, and Shakespeare was actually one of the larger inspirations for his entire output. He's also known as one of the foremost guitar composers of the 20th century. But all of these settings are for piano, although there are some settings that he adapted for guitar and for harp. So any harpists out there, let's do it. He also tends to have accompaniments that are a little difficult, but this time I practiced and I managed to eke out these 2 pieces to what was a standard that I was willing to give to an audience of vague onlookers that I don't have to actually apologize to or take credit for the music. Yay, digital music making. The songs are Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind, which has this sort of windy, blowing, blustery figure that goes throughout. It's basically all 16th note triplets. You're welcome. And then the second song is What Shall He Have That Killed the Deer, which, if you think about it in context of the play, doesn't actually make that much sense. It's a very art song setting. It's not just a forester singing this round to schlep home a dead, hunk of venison, but I did really like it. So here's those 2. Thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind. kind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho the holly, this life is most jolly. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, that dost not bite so nigh as benefits forgot. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp as friends remembered not. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho, unto the green holly, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho the holly, this life is most jolly. What shall he have that killed the deer? What shall he have that killed the deer? His leather skin and horns to wear, his leather skin and horns to wear. Then sing him home, the rest shall bear this burden, the rest shall bear this burden. Take thou no scorn to wear the horn, it was a crest ere thou was born. Thy father's father wore it, and thy father bore it, the horn. The horn, the horn, the horn, the lusty horn, is not a thing, is not a thing, is not a thing to laugh to scorn. The rest shall bear this burden, the rest shall bear this burden. The horn, the horn, the horn, the lusty horn. The next song setting is from a new composer to SONGspeare 2020 and to me since I started looking at Shakespeare songs. It is Arturo Buzzi-Peccia. He lived from 1854 to 1943, and he was an Italian music teacher, voice teacher, who also wrote songs. So he's kind of writing vocal music from the perspective of somebody who teaches singers how to sing. I don't know that I would make any of these connections if I didn't already know that, but I do think you can hear some of that in the song setting. There are a lot of different textures, there's a lot of opportunity to sort of show off. He superimposes these kind of la 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 refrains, which are not actually part of the song text. So it's a little singery, if you will. He was not very well known to me, but he is pretty well known for, especially one of his songs, Lolita, which I think is less creepy than it sounds. It was recorded by a lot of tenors. It's been recorded by women as well, but notably you can hear it recorded by Luciano Pavarotti, so that's always worth checking out. But his Shakespeare song settings don't seem to be as well known. Here is his setting of Under the Greenwood Tree. Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me and turn his merry note unto the sweet bird's throat. Come hither, here shall he see no enemy. Oh, come, here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather, rough weather. La, 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 under the greenwood tree. La, 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 la. Who doth ambition shun and loves to live in the sun, seeking the food he eats and pleased with what he gets. Come hither, here shall he see no enemy. Oh, come, here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather, rough weather. La, 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 under the greenwood tree. La, 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 la. Under the greenwood tree. Come, who loves to lie with me. Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me. The next two songs are by Mervyn Horder, who at this point is no stranger to SONGspeare 2020. He was an English baron, he wrote music in his spare time, and he wrote 7 Shakespeare songs, of which we have heard 4 already, so these 2 will bring us to 6. The last one is in Twelfth Night, so will I record it? Probably, because why not record all 7 if you can? They are the first 2, so I put them right in a row because that's how you would hear them if you heard them as a set. It's Under the Greenwood Tree and Blow Blow Thou Winter Wind. Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me and turn his merry note unto the sweet bird's throat. Come hither, come hither, come hither, here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather. Who doth ambition shun and loves to live in the sun, seeking the food he eats and pleased with what he gets. Come hither, come hither, come hither, gratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen. Although thy breath be rude, thy breath be rude. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho unto the green holly. Most friendship is fading, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho the holly, this life is most jolly, jolly, jolly. Life is most jolly. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, that dost not bite so nigh, as benefits forgot, though thou the waters warp. Thy sting is not so sharp, as friend remembered not, remembered not. Hi-ho, sing hi-ho unto the green holly. Most friendship is fading, most loving mere folly. Then hi-ho the holly, this life is most jolly, jolly, jolly. Life is most jolly. The last two songs are not really so much of a pair, but I did pair them together because I think they're stylistically just really awesome. That's kind of the expletive-free. One is by Geoffrey Bush, who we heard from last time. He lived from 1920 to 1998. He was a British music writer, composer, didn't have a lot of formal training. Since the last episode, I learned that he was a broadcaster for a lot of BBC music broadcastings, and his setting of It Was a Lover and His Lass is one of the coolest settings that I heard while I started this sort of cataloging experiment of finding Shakespeare songs. It's one of the ones I was the most excited to be able to record and to sing. It's technically for mezzo or baritone, and it didn't really work as well if I changed the key, so you'll get to hear me pretending to be a baritone. And you'll also get to hear my first collegiate level voice teacher, Jay Rosendahl, playing the piano. He plays for Seattle Opera. He's an amazing pianist and also an amazing teacher and a great person, a countertenor. So I was really, really happy to be able to have him collaborate with me on this one. And it was really valuable to have him play this piano part so that I didn't have to try to play it because my hands, they're not big enough. The second song in what I am calling a pair is also a setting of It Was a Lover and His Lass by Stuart Findlay. We heard from him in the Othello episode, one of his settings of Desdemona's songs, and I still don't know very much about him. I don't know when he was born. I don't know when he died. He flourished sometime in the 20th century. You can tell from his music. He was apparently a South African musician, unless I'm looking up a different Stuart Findlay. When South Africa joined the International Society of Contemporary Music in 1948, Stuart Findlay was apparently the treasurer on their board, on their chapter board. So he was in South Africa. He may have been associated with the South African College of Music, but I am so surprised I can't find out any more information. So if there are any librarians or researchers or people who just don't like missing information out there who want to look up Stuart Findlay for me, you'll see the spelling of his name in a minute, I would love to know when he at least was born and died. That would be great. So here are two settings of It Was a Lover and His Lass, the first by Geoffrey Bush and the second by Stuart Findlay, and they are grouped together because I just think they're both so awesome. It was and his lass with a hey and a ho, hey and a ho, and a hey, nonny no, that o'er the green cornfield did pass in the springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey, 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 ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. Between the acres of the rye with a hey and a ho, hey and a ho, and a hey, nonny no, these pretty country folks would lie in the springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey, 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 ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. And therefore take the present time with a hey and a ho, hey and a ho, and a hey, nonny no, for love is crowded with the prime in the springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey, 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 ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. Was a lover and his lass with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, that o'er the green cornfield did pass in springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. Between the acres of the rye with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, these pretty country folks would lie in springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. With a hey and a ho, hey nonny no, how that her life was but a flower. In springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. And therefore take the present time with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, for love is crowned with the prime in springtime, the only pretty ring time when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding. Sweet lovers love the spring. So there you have it, 2 settings of Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind, 1 setting of What Shall He Have That Killed the Deer, 2 settings of It Was a Lover and His Lass, and 2 settings of Under the Greenwood Tree. Is that 7? I think so. Thanks for making it this whole way, and hey, we have finished The Gauntlet. We had 4 plays to get through that all needed episodes, they all had music, and they were preceded by The Passionate Pilgrim, and here we go, there's a little bit of a break. So, I guess I'll start looking at the sonnets, Twelfth Night. God help me. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you loved, tell me what you hated, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, just interact for the love of, and feel free to share it with your friends or your enemies, it doesn't really matter. Thanks so much for watching, especially this particular episode, and see you next time on